The speakerphone lit up the kitchen counter. I saw his name flash and felt my stomach knot. Not because I wasn't expecting it, but because I was, in some strange way, ready. His voice came first loud, casual, overly confident. "I'm finalizing the divorce." Then in the background, the rough laughter of his friends, echoing through the speaker, as if they were celebrating some inside joke at my expense. I didn't speak immediately. I waited, listening to the layers, the arrogance, the cruelty, the laughter. That silence, it was mine first. I had learned the weight of listening, of measuring. The more they laughed, the more I cataloged, and the more I began to see the cracks beneath the bravado. His name was Mark. He thought he held the upper hand, as he always did. But there was a detail he had overlooked, a piece of leverage invisible to him yet glaring to me. I remembered the condo down payment, the one he'd promised, Linda, would be hers. He had casually, arrogantly, charged it to my credit card months ago. Hidden behind his assumed entitlement and my previous hesitation, I had cataloged that in my private ledger of betrayals. And now, sitting in my kitchen, my hands gripping the edge of the counter, I made a quiet decision: cancel it. While he was talking, pretending that his triumph was inevitable, I went online, clicked through the payment portal, typed in numbers with precision, every keystroke measured, deliberate. Confirmed cancellation. The condo down payment was now mine again. I returned my attention to the speakerphone. "Oh, Linda is laughing," I said, calm, measured, voice low but firm. "Wes, she doesn't know you put her condo down payment on my card. Which, by the way, I just cancelled." There was a pause. A crack in the facade. Mark's friends were suddenly quiet, the laughter had died mid-air. The energy shifted, a tangible wobble in the dynamics. Authority. Not in shouts or confrontation, but in fact undeniable and concrete. Mark tried to recover, stammering, fumbling for words, but I didn't interrupt him. I didn't need to. The power had already shifted. Silence, as always, was its own weapon. The call ended. I sat in the kitchen, letting the quiet settle. The adrenaline had faded, leaving a reflective calm. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt something more complicated. Vindication, yes, but also exhaustion. And an ache where trust had once lived. Betrayal leaves scars, and I could see them in my own chest, along with the faint thrill of regained control. I thought about the months leading up to this moment. The subtle erosion of my autonomy, small charges, casual dismissals. The way he'd framed every decision as mutual while quietly tilting benefits in his favor. There had been anger, of course, but also hesitation. The kind of doubt that whispers, "Maybe I'm overreacting." The kind that quiets the voice before action. But that hesitation had limits. I had reached them. And now I understood something fundamental: power isn't always loud. It isn't always visible. Sometimes it's the quiet, unassuming assertion of boundaries. The move that makes someone else stumble without ever raising your voice. The knowledge that action has consequence, that your decision is undeniable, is far more effective than shouting in the void. I called my credit card company the next day to ensure everything was properly reversed. The representative was polite, professional. By the end of the call, I had confirmation: funds retracted, transaction voided, integrity restored. That, I realized, was the moment of authority made manifest. The external world acknowledged my control. In the following days, Mark tried subtle attempts at reconciliation. Not apologies, not even explanations, just testing the waters, the familiar dance of entitlement. I observed, detached, aware of the subtle shift in dynamics. His posture had changed, he moved more carefully around me, words chosen, laughter measured. My leverage was quiet but undeniable. I spent hours afterward reflecting, sitting in the small sunlit corner of my apartment with a cup of tea. It was a calm, reflective kind of thinking. Different from the fiery plotting I had sometimes imagined. I understood that victory could exist without celebration, that dignity could be reclaimed quietly, methodically. And I also acknowledged the emotional residue, the disappointment, the hurt, the lingering grief for what had been lost. The condo payment was only money, but it represented more. It represented autonomy, respect, and the reclaiming of personal boundaries. And for the first time in months, I felt a sense of stability, subtle, restrained but tangible. I could feel it in the way I moved, In the quiet confidence of small decisions made deliberately. In the calm knowledge that I had seen through the facade and acted. I didn't imagine the future as perfect. There would be more conflicts, more betrayals, more moments where power would need to be asserted again. But I had learned that the most enduring victories were often invisible, measured in small but undeniable shifts. I had seen the flaw in his arrogance, and I had acted. And in that quiet act, I found a profound, tempered satisfaction. Mark and I never spoke of the condo payment again. The divorce proceeded, with the usual complications and paperwork, but the laughter on the speakerphone never returned in the same way. I walked through those days carrying a subtle, private authority, a calm dignity, uncelebrated but unmistakable. And in the evenings, alone in my apartment, I could feel it fully, the reclaimed sense of self, the quiet shift of power, and the understanding that boundaries, once respected by the world, need never be shouted. They simply exist,